Brenda Collins's SUV dropped nose first into my front yard at 8:12 on a Monday morning, and by 8:24 the tow truck sent to rescue her was stuck too. Same slick edge, same swallowed tire, same row of neighbors, pretending not to stare, while absolutely staring. By 11 a.m., I had 3 emails marked urgent from the Homeowners Association, all politely implying I had created a public hazard. By sunset, the board member who had spent months turning procedure into a weapon was sitting under fluorescent lights, while the same board voted to suspend her authority. My name's Ethan Parker. I'm not a dramatic person, I don't chase conflict, and I didn't move into Maple Grove Estates to become the neighborhood case study in governance abuse. I moved here because the streets were clean, the houses were boring in a comforting way, and the HOA brochures promised community standards with transparency. I thought that meant consistent rules. I learned it can also mean selective enforcement with a smile. Brenda moved in across from me in late spring, white SUV personalized plate frame, always on Bluetooth, always in a hurry, except when she wanted to make a point. Within a month, she was on a committee, then visible in every board photo, then speaking like she was chair, even when she wasn't. She had that polished, public-facing tone people use when they want to sound neutral while delivering a threat. Let's keep the neighborhood cohesive. We all have to do our part. Some homeowners are falling short. Every sentence sounded civic. Every target was personal. The first tire mark on my lawn looked accidental. The second looked lazy. By the fifth, it was a root. Weekdays around 3:10 p.m., she'd swing up onto the corner of my yard to wait for her niece's school carpool. Not the curb, not her own driveway, not the legal guest spaces 20 yards away, my grass. Same angle engine idling, phone on speaker. I tried easy first. "Hey, Brenda, can you keep it off the lawn?" She waved without looking at me. "It's 2 minutes, Ethan." It was never 2 minutes. I bought a small sign, "Private lawn, no parking." Next day, snapped at the base. I bought a metal one, gone by morning. I installed a low, decorative stone border. Nothing aggressive, just visual boundary. 2 stones showed up in my flower bed like someone kicked them aside with purpose. I sent photos to the Homeowners Association and got the same reply in different fonts, "Cannot verify substantial violation." That phrase became a character in my life. I could verify it at 3:10 every day from my office window. I could verify it after rain when the rut held water like a trench. I could verify it on Saturdays when I spent money patching compacted soil. But the complaint queue couldn't verify it. And later I found out why Brenda sat in the review chain for neighborhood disputes. Not sole authority, but enough influence to shape tone, timeline, and outcome. Enough to make facts feel unclear. I pivoted. No curbside arguments, no emotional emails, no open-ended complaints. I built a record. I made a log with columns: date time, in-time out vehicle position, weather damage notes, witness names, photo IDs. I pulled our governing documents and printed the sections on private property, encroachment, nuisance definitions, and conflict of interest language for board participation. I downloaded city stormwater guidance and county recommendations for permeable front yard design because I had noticed something else. My corner lot took runoff from 2 higher drives after heavy rain. That low spot Brenda kept using wasn't just vulnerable, it was already hydrologically active. Meanwhile, the pressure campaign ramped up. She posted in the residents group about declining curb appeal standards. No names, just timestamps that perfectly matched my mowing day. She hand-delivered a 1-page community visual expectations sheet that looked official until you noticed no header, no ordinance reference, no board vote notation. Then came stacked complaints: path lights, allegedly too bright native sedge, allegedly weedy compost bin, allegedly visible from street. It wasn't mower noise outside approved window. I had video timestamp proving otherwise. I was burning hours defending basic reality. And here's what drained me most. Not her tone, not the nonsense paperwork, not even the lawn repairs. It was the quiet. Neighbors who agreed in private would text me, "You're right, this is ridiculous," then go silent at meetings. People had stories, but no one wanted to be first on record. I understood why. The system rewarded compliance and punished friction even when friction was justified. If you work full-time, have kids, care for parents, whatever, the easiest choice is pay the fine and move on. That's how small abuses become neighborhood culture. One Thursday night close to midnight, I sat at my kitchen table with two screens open, my incident spreadsheet on one side, HOA violation portal on the other, and hovered over archive folder. I didn't doubt the facts. I doubted the cost. This thing was eating evenings, weekends' attention I should have been spending on actual life. I remember looking at the wet shoe prints I'd tracked in from checking the yard and thinking I could just reseed again, stop filing. Avoid her, let it go. Then I saw the sustainability packet line I'd highlighted weeks earlier. Residents are encouraged to adopt bioswale and wetland edge stormwater features. Applications reviewed through architectural portal. I didn't need permission to be mad. I needed a method to be effective. So I filed a full architectural request for a front yard bioswale restoration zone. Not decorative fluff, engineered contour notes. Infiltration estimates, plant palette with root depth rationale, maintenance, planned safety, signage, placement, curb transition detail, and photos of comparable compliant installations in neighboring counties. I paid for a consultation, so the specs were defensible, then submitted with zero mention of Brenda, just compliance scope and benefit. 2 weeks later, approval landed in my inbox with board routing metadata attached. Time-stamped, archived, valid. I printed the approval laminated one copy and kept another in a binder by my front door. Installation happened over a weekend. Most of it looked like normal landscaping. Natives amended soil, subtle channeling that blended into the front bed. The structural difference was underground and grade base. That corner now held water safely and absorbed runoff instead of compacting under weight. I posted signage where any driver could see it from street level, wetland restoration zone, no vehicle access. Then I set a camera to capture curb line ingress and egress. Sunday night, summer storm, hard rain wind pushing sheets across the streetlights. Monday 3:10 p.m., like clockwork. Brenda turned in, took the same shortcut, ignored the sign, rolled onto saturated bioswale edge, and the front end dropped with a heavy wet thud that I felt through my porch boards. She jumped out, furious, phone still in her hand. "What did you do?" she yelled across the rain. "Installed a board-approved stormwater feature," I said. "It's marked. You trapped me. Number one, I documented you." Tow truck came. Driver tried from the curb, cautious at first, then adjusted angle. The recovery wheel slipped off the asphalt lip into softened shoulder and bogged enough to halt. Not catastrophic, just enough to create a second immobilized vehicle and an audience. A teenager across the street whispered, "No way," and someone else muttered, "She parks there every day." For the first time, the private pattern was public. By 5:00 p.m., I had emails from management citing emergency concern about unsafe modifications. I responded with attachments in order approval, letter installation, invoice, signage, photos with timestamps, incident history of repeated vehicle encroachment, and a short note requesting conflict of interest review before any board action involving Brenda. Then I added the file that ended the conversation. 3 nights earlier, 11:43 p.m., my camera recorded Brenda stepping onto my property with a plastic bucket and pouring crushed aggregate into the bioswale throat, likely trying to harden the entry point or impede flow. Clear face, clear timestamp, clear lot line, clear intent to alter approved infrastructure without authorization. Emergency hearing clubhouse, folding chairs, chilled, a cheap coffee smell. Brenda opened with performance-level outrage, called my yard, an engineered hazard, called me retaliatory, demanded immediate remediation at my expense. I let her speak. No interruptions. When she finished, I handed the secretary a tabbed binder and said, "Please enter Exhibits A through H into record." You could feel a tension shift from theater to paperwork. A board member asked Brenda whether she disclosed involvement when prior complaints were routed. Another asked why she initiated enforcement actions during an active personal dispute. Management asked if she had entered my property after dark. She tried broad language first, community safety, aesthetic, consistency, homeowner hostility, then narrowed to technical claims that collapsed against the approval record she had voted through by proxy. I spoke once, slow neutral. "This is not a personality dispute. This is documented trespass, repeated encroachment, selective enforcement attempts, and tampering with approved drainage infrastructure. I'm requesting immediate recusal suspension, pending ethics review, and standardized evidence requirements for future complaints. Motion to suspend pending review passed. Motion to codify no vehicle encroachment on private lawns with escalating fines passed. Motion to require recusal disclosures for board members in complaints involving adjacent properties passed. Motion to adopt evidence threshold for enforcement notices passed. Same institution, different operating mode because record pressure forced it. Over the next 10 days earlier, violations against my property were dismissed or withdrawn. County Code acknowledged receipt of my tampering/trespass documentation. Management rolled out revised complaint forms requiring photo proof and perjury language. The neighborhood group got quieter, then oddly calmer. Less rumor, more references to section numbers. And then came the part no one puts in dramatic retellings admin cleanup. I spent nights exporting clips, labeling files, responding to follow-up questions, confirming chain of custody on timestamps, and sitting through one more closed-door review where everyone suddenly spoke in risk management vocabulary. It wasn't cinematic, it was tedious. But that tedium is where outcomes harden. Flashy moments change mood. Administrative detail changes policy. I also started hearing from people I barely knew. Ms. Jensen, retired teacher, had paid 2 fines. She could have appealed because no one told her deadlines in plain language. Marcus on Cedar Lane got cited for an RV on his lot. Wrong address, wrong lot, same threatening deadline. A single mom in Phase 2 got monthly notices about trash can visibility, while the same violation sat untouched across from a board ally. One couple stopped attending meetings after being mocked for asking where reserve funds were being allocated. Different facts, same structure. Ambiguity plus speed plus authority tone. So I shared tools, not speeches. I posted a neutral resource folder for residents, incident log template appeal, timeline checklist request. For records, sample recusal inquiry language, and a 1-page how to respond to a violation notice in 30 minutes. People used it. Quietly at first, then openly. Next meeting attendance doubled. Not angry crowd energy, prepared homeowner energy. Printed docs, highlighted sections, concise questions. Please cite the bylaw section. Who reviewed this and when? Is this complaint evidence-based? Was recusal filed? You could watch the board's posture adjust in real time. Less improvisation, more procedure. Exactly as it should have been from day one. Brenda appeared once during suspension, sat in the back, said nothing, left early. 3 weeks later, for sale sign in her yard. No showdown, no apology, no final speech. Just logistics, moving boxes, contractor van lockbox on the door, then a different family's minivan in that driveway. My bioswale matured through the season. After storms, the channel filled, slowed and drained by design. The corner stopped rutting. Deliveries stayed curbside. Kids noticed frogs near the sedges. Normal life resumed, which was the point all along. If you expect a triumphant ending scene, there isn't one. Justice in neighborhoods rarely looks like fireworks. It looks like corrected forms, cleaner minutes, and fewer people getting pushed around because someone finally insisted on receipts. I didn't beat Brenda in an argument. I outlasted her in a system she assumed no one else would learn. And if there's one lesson worth keeping, it's this. Boundaries are just wishes until they're documented.